Mic check. 1 2 1 2 1 2. What is up, my beautiful people? It's your girl Rosabelle, and welcome. For those of you who are new here, hit that subscribe button, the follow, the like, the share, wherever you see this, wherever you're listening to this. And welcome. Welcome to my mind. Welcome to my feelings. Welcome to my space. I'm in my element. I'm in a space where I like to kick my shoes off and put my feet up, put my robe on, take my pants off, because pants are dumb, and just kick back, relax. I want to unwind from my day, unfold, and unplug. Blessings, blessings. It is the beginning of spring. How the hell are we feeling out there?
So happy to see the sun.
I'm happy to see the sun, happy to start this new year, happy to start this spring. Is just really the time where we water and we grow. We plant our seeds and we, watch them grow this year. We work, of course.
Right.
But it's a beautiful time. I did not get to meditate yet. Hopefully before this releases, I actually take my time to meditate. Even if you late, it's better late than never. But I haven't even had the chance to take that time to myself.
Let's start with today's podcast is kind of a joint project with Women's Health Summit again. What are they talking about this time?
So this month on the Women's Health Summit, we are talking about physical needs. Physical needs, human touch, diet, hydration, needs, like what we really need.
Okay. And so I'm sure that wherever the people are watching, there will be links for them to see what's going on with Women's Health Summit.
Yep, you can follow the Women's Health Summit on Facebook at Women's Health Summit. You can also follow them on Instagram. I don't know the exact link, but I think it's called Summit Women's Health. Mm-hmm. You can also follow Kizzy Productions because that's where you will see and hear the podcast. And I will tag all that, and you should see pictures of this. But Kizzy Productions is Kezie Productions. And that's on Facebook as well.
All those, and also, if you don't know Jess, who is the host of Women's Health Summit, she's amazing. She's worth a follow as well.
Jess is definitely worth the follow.
So, I actually thought that since they're talking about needs, all kinds of different needs, this month, that it would be good for us to start with needs as well.
We can talk about needs. I think that's a good start. Good way to kick off the new year. Let's talk about our needs. What are needs?
Mm-hmm. So I was thinking that we could start by talking about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is a concept in psychology that you would learn in your basic Psych 101 class in any, college, or I know that they teach it a lot in high schools and stuff. It's kind of something that I think most people think are common sense type things, right? But they teach it for a reason, because it's the base of how we live our lives, essentially, right? So if you imagine a pyramid, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a pyramid, and it has 5 tiers to it, right?
Okay.
So it starts at the bottom, with the theory being that you can't build a pyramid without the base, right? So you need the base first. And the base touches on basic needs. So it's called physiological needs if you want to get fancy. But what it really is things that you need to live, right? You need air, you need water, you need shelter, stuff like that, right? But a lot of people in psychology would also say your more primal needs, we have urges to reproduce because we're humans, right? Mm-hmm. And then the theory with this is that you have to build it kind of like a pyramid. So if you imagine that you are the person building the pyramid, you have to start with the base, right? You can't do the second tier until the base is done, right?
Okay.
So the second tier is safety needs. So think things like personal security, feeling secure in your employment, like where you are in the world, your health, those kinds of things, right? Safety. The idea is, if you're talking to a person, right, and let's say you're talking to your best friend and they're saying like, oh, I have all of these like health issues, right? But they don't have a place to live or water to drink. Are they really going to be concerned about the health issues?
Mm-mm.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of a way to think about how can we best help people, but it also leads into other psychological theories and social work theories and all of these things as well. And it kind of gives you a little bit more perspective as to why people act the way that they do, right?
Okay.
Because if you say, oh, well, this person, he just really needs a job, but he's homeless, why doesn't he get a job? Well, probably because he's trying to find somewhere to sleep every night, He doesn't have the time to actually put into getting a job. So it starts with physiological needs at the bottom, safety needs are next. And then we start talking about like love, belonging, and that doesn't mean like necessarily in a relationship with a significant other, but it could mean like friendship, it could mean like a social circle, having people around you, family, whatever that is for you. A lot of people like churches or clubs or something of that nature, anything along those lines. So if we, again, are building a tower, right, you can understand why the person who is homeless and doesn't have access to food may not be able to keep good relationships, right? Because if you have a homeless friend who's constantly like, hey, can I get $5? Hey, can I sleep on your couch? Hey, can I get a bottle of water? It might be a little hard to maintain a friendship that way. You know what I mean? When it's constantly one person giving and one person taking. And so if we build, start at the bottom and then move upward, then theoretically they would be able to form good relationships. And it also kind of strengthens their, in a way, confidence. So their ability to make relationships boosts their ability to feel like they can make relationships,
Okay.
So like if you are constantly dealing with friends and family who don't want to talk to you, then you are going to feel like you're not a good friend, you're not a good family member, you're not whatever, you know what I mean? Whether or not you are.
That's fair.
Which in turn will make you a bad friend or family member or etc., right? So that's where it goes to next. And then next, like I said, there's 5. Fourth would be esteem. So things like respect, self-esteem, status, recognition, strength, freedom, right? So these are the things that go into how we feel about ourselves. You know what I mean? So again, we're talking about a person who doesn't have all these things, right? Physiological needs and so on and so forth. This person would probably not have very much self-respect if they're sleeping on a sidewalk. If they don't have any, water to drink, they might not feel like they have status in the world or self-esteem or self-worth or anything like that, whether or not they do. You know what I mean? Okay. So if you're, let's say you're like a therapist working with the person on level 4, esteem, and they're struggling with any of the layers below that, it's really hard to say like, oh, no, you are a good person, you are appreciated, you are smart, strong, or whatever, when they leave your office, they're going home to nothing. Do you know what I mean? So, in theory, each need that we have should fit into one of these categories. Okay. Which is how I'm going to tie it back to Jess. And then at the top of the pyramid is self-actualization. Self-actualization is essentially being the peak human, right? Like exactly who you want to be in life. Somebody who is not necessarily like achieved all their goals, but like at least working towards achieving their goals. And, has good, strong relationships, has good partnerships at work, or feels like they're making a difference in the world, or whatever it is for them, right? And obviously the goal is that we want everybody to be at self-actualization. But in theory, people can go up and down this pyramid throughout their lives, right? Okay. So like if you think about it, I would say, most people are within the top 3, right? At least the people that I know. Self-actualization, esteem, and love and support. Almost all the people that I know, they have places to live, they have so on and so forth, and they also, their safety needs are mostly met. So let's say, for example, your best friend who you feel like is pretty high on the ladder, struggles with some horrible tragedy like a house fire. That automatically is going to put them down to the bottom, right? Physiological needs, because they won't have anywhere to live.
Right.
Unless they, have a great savings fund or something like that. You know what I mean? So in theory, we can move up and down these steps all the way through life. Think about a person who is maybe like on the verge of retirement, has been in their career for many years, is like at the top of the ladder in whatever field they're in, and they're doing great and whatever, and then they leave their job and then they lose their sense of purpose in the world. You know what I mean? Like that person probably would have been self-actualized, but may be down now to like love and belonging, like not really knowing who they are in the world, what their purpose is, what they feel.
Because they spent all that time in that environment, and
exactly.
I guess they no longer have it, so you kind of gotta relearn you outside of that.
Exactly.
Okay.
So like people can go up and down on this step. Usually up, you can only go one step at a time. Down, you could tumble all the way in no time. Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, we can all hit the bottom real quick.
I know. I mean, we're all one tragedy away, right? So, that's how it is theoretically. And that's how we use it, like as a social worker, how I use it, right? So like if I had a client who is not going to have anywhere to live when he gets out of here, I'm not going to be like, oh, you know what you really need is to go to therapy twice a week. Because that's not realistic for them. So we would start with things like, oh, well, here's some places that you can go for, drug and alcohol treatment or housing or food or, whatever their need is. You know what I mean? So that's how we use it, like as the helping professionals, as therapists and counselors. But you can totally use this in your daily life too. Because if you think about this as like your friends, your group of people that you're around.
Okay.
And you think to yourself, like, what category do I think my friends are in, or do I think I'm even in, and how do I help others or help myself get to the next level? Because in theory, we all want to reach self-actualization, right?
We do.
In theory.
We all want to feel like we reach our full potential, or like we're reaching like our full selves. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we do.
It's almost like a priority list if you think about it. You know what I mean? So, for example, when we talk about needs at Women's Health Summit this month, and we talk about basic things like food and water, you know what I mean? The person who's struggling with food and water, if they're also struggling with like human touch, which I would probably say is in the love and belonging, the third category, then which one is priority? Do you know what I mean? So, I'm still talking from a theoretical standpoint, but I'm sure you could imagine this person does exist. Do you know what I mean? The person who's homeless and also has no social circle, or also has no employment, or also etc. Right? So, in a way, it's kind of like a to-do list. It kind of prioritizes, in what order do we need to help people, and even if it's like your friend, your family member, or whatever, it kind of helps that. So I thought that this was a good topic to piggyback off of Jess, because I know that she will probably talk about tons of things that can go in various places in this categories, right? And she probably won't think about it from like this angle.
Right.
So it's the same topic, but from a different angle.
Okay. This is a good topic. I actually didn't know anything about this at all. So he was like, oh, we're going to talk about it. I'm like, good, because I'm going to learn about it. Like, no idea. Kind of glanced at it, looked at it, and I'm like, okay, pyramid, cool. Like, you can look at it, read it, and kind of understand it to a degree, like, just looking at it. But it's nice to be able to have that, like, explanation, that insight on how it applies.
Yeah. I'm sure some social workers or helping professionals or even psychology people will explain it or interpret it slightly different, because this is not like new technology here in mental health. Like, this is age old. Every helping professional has learned it at one point in their life, and so there are different interpretations and different uses of this theory.
For sure.
But it definitely like goes into, I would say, everybody's practice.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like, every single person in the helping professional learns all these theories, all these approaches to therapy, all these approaches to case management, and etc. But we all use it very differently. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't say that I do approach mental health the same way as literally anybody else.
Fair.
And so this is just my opinion for clarity. But I think that we all use Maslow's hierarchy of needs because it kind of puts perspective on things, and it, in a way, gives us an ability to step into other people's shoes where we otherwise would not be able to understand.
That's fair. Yep.
Because not all of us have been homeless. Not all of us have been without water and food. And so it's kind of hard to know what that's like and what that struggle really is, unless either one, you've studied it or worked with a lot of people with it, or two, you have actually been there. And you will hear that from clients too when you work with them. Have you ever been homeless? Have you ever had to starve yourself to sleep? They'll say that stuff to you. Have you ever lost fingers because they froze off? They will. And so you gotta be able to put your feet in their shoes as much as you can and as sensitively as possible.
Okay.
And I think that this helps a lot, because I don't know what it's like to be so cold that my fingers freeze off, but I have many clients who have, so I think that this helps, and I think it ties well into what Jess is going to talk about.
Oh.
So when I mentioned this, what did you think it was?
I don't know. I didn't have any expectations. I had no idea. You mentioned it, and you said, oh, they use it in psychology, but, like, I didn't like psychology, so I didn't take psychology.
I was shocked. I really thought you did take at least intro.
Nope. I didn't take any psychology courses in college. I don't know, just, like, my brain don't think that way. It wasn't my thing.
We really are opposites, babe.
So I didn't step into a class where, even though looking back, I probably should have explored more classes that made me kind of think outside of the box. And not the box, outside of my box. Because I feel like thinking outside of the box is different for everybody.
Yeah.
But I don't want to learn to a totally different topic.
Everyone's box is different.
Everyone's box is very different. Some people's boxes are large, some people's boxes are small. Some people's boxes are just all in different spaces. We all have different boxes. But no expectations. Yeah, no expectations at all.
This is kind of a side note, but speaking of people's boxes being different, I recently had a training with the psychiatry expert at my facility, and so she had said something about how working in mental health and working with people who are severely mentally ill, you kind of learn to interpret what they're saying, even when other people maybe wouldn't understand. And so I went to go speak with one of my most favoritist clients, except I don't have favorites because we don't have favorites. And he was speaking like probably a mile a minute about all kinds of different things and making absolutely no sense. And
sounds like me.
In the moment, I was like, oh, yeah, I get it. Okay. And I was talking to him and we had a conversation and it was fine. And then I go back to my office and I'm doing my documentation for that encounter. And I'm like, I have to describe things like, how he was acting and what I noticed and stuff like that. Not just like what he was saying.
Right.
And I was thinking to myself like, wow, she's absolutely right. I have become fluent and crazy. Because I 100% understood what he was talking about. But I had no idea how to describe it on the paper.
No. Well, I mean, that also happens.
Yeah, but
At least you were able to follow and have a good conversation.
He left the encounter very happy. So I don't know what I did or said that fixed it, but I fixed it.
Probably just listening and feeling. Maybe he felt understood.
Yeah.
You know?
But, I mean, he's a great example of what I'm talking about here. Like, he has access to the basics. He's got food, he's got shelter, he's got those kinds of things. But only because an agency provides those to him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if he was out on his own, he would be lost in the world.
Mm-hmm.
You know? But when he does get out, he struggles with, like, what is my place in the world?
Mm-hmm.
And he even spoke about how in correctional facilities, he finds his place because he's able to talk to other people about his expertise, which is the criminal justice system. You know, he's been in and out so many times. He understands the law. He knows if you get a misdemeanor 1, this is what kind of time you're serving. If you get, you know, so on and so forth. But what he was talking to me about that I thought was so interesting is that this time his case is going very differently than what he expected. And so he's not understanding it. And even though he has a charge that he's had in the past, the criminal justice system is not making sense to him. You know? And so his expertise is failing him. Mm-hmm. His place in the world is gone.
It is, yep. Because things changed.
Exactly.
Things changed and he didn't keep up with it. And is it his fault? Not really. But, you know, it does make you feel, I'm not going to say funny. It does make you feel a way.
Uncomfortable.
When things that you knew are no longer.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah. So, I mean, right now what we're dealing with him is we don't have to deal with the first tier, right? Because he's got that. Mm-hmm. He's got his sense of safety, although it's a little compromised right now because he thought he was safe in jail.
Yep.
You know, but at the same time, we're working on perspective. You know, you're still here. You're still dealing with the same thing that you've always dealt with. It just looks a little different this time. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So we're working on the safety, and then I'll start working on his place in the world, hopefully somewhere outside of of facilities like this.
It's not your place in the world.
No, this is not your... I mean, I'm happy to have you because you're not my favorite, but you are. But
I don't know. I'm not going to say expertise because that might be the wrong word, but maybe he could be a mentor. Mm-hmm. Who knows? With the things that he knows and the things that he experience, maybe he can just be a mentor through experience. Hey, I really experienced these things. They felt like this, you know. Mm-hmm. This happened when... You know, don't do drugs, kids. I'm not saying he's a drug addict, but don't do drugs, kids.
I asked him once if he's done any drugs, and he told me cigarettes. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll leave the cigarettes alone.
My favorite. But you know, we struggle with this a lot when we go through big, like, okay, my clients are dealing with, you know, jail, which is a big tragedy in and of itself for them, whether they deserved it or not. It's still like uplifting their life, right? Mm-hmm. But if you could imagine, most people who come into a helping agency to counseling or something, they have just dealt with something.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, people don't, well, sometimes people do, but very rarely do people seek counseling just because, like, they feel like it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Right. Most of them are dealing with something. Yeah. And so that's why this theory is so important to us, because we have to gauge, like, where are they at now so that we can help them move forward. Okay. But the same thing can be said for, you know, friends and family. Like, if you ever had somebody come to you and be like, oh, well, I'm struggling with, I don't know, finding new housing, or I'm struggling with...
all kinds of struggles.
Wondering if I should quit my job and get a different one, or, you know, whatever. You know, and if the question is, like, oh, should I switch jobs, but the next job isn't going to be able to pay your bills. Right. Like, that's a very different question than, like, this job doesn't make me happy and that one might. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
100%.
And it's all about this hierarchy. Okay. So I'm not saying that, like, when I go see a client, I'm like, well, where are they on the pyramid? I don't do that. But I do prioritize their list of things that they need based on this. Okay. So... that's how we use it. I'm sure Jess will talk about some needs that maybe I didn't touch on. I'm trying to think of wide examples.
She always does. She has such amazing, like, ideas and thought processes. I haven't seen any templates or heard anything about this show yet. As far as what's going to be going on, I am not actually a guest on this one. So I may not actually see that until it comes out. Sunday, March 31st.
Yes, of course.
Sunday, March 31st from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. I know that it's Easter, but get your podcast on.
Is that Easter? Oh, my.
Yep. March 31st is Easter. Look at that. Didn't even know. I wish I could say April Fools, but not this year.
Huh.
Nope. It's all on like the lunar. It's the lunar cycle.
All those holidays that don't land on like a specific date. You know, like
weird.
how Christmas is always the 25th.
Yeah.
But like Thanksgiving is like the whatever Thursday of November or whatever. Those ones throw me off. I don't like that.
Let's say with Memorial Day, so it's last Monday of May. Yeah, not all holidays fall on the same day.
Yeah, I don't like that.
It just may be like the same Monday.
Yeah.
That's good.
Well, thank you for hanging out with us today. Thank you for letting me rant about theories, nerdy stuff.
Yeah, no, I like when you talk about your expertise. Go ahead, subject matter expert. That's what we say in the engineering world, SMEs. Go ahead.
You know, when I have a client who tells me something about like, oh, that was so helpful, or you're so smart, or whatever, I just go, well, look at my master's degree go.
Okay, no gloating. I think this is the second or third time you did that on here.
Look at my master's degree.
But no, look at the hard work going to work.
Happy Social Work Month.
Happy Social Work Month. Peace and blessings to y'all. Hope that y'all enjoyed this episode. I learned something new today, so hopefully you learned something new today. But one thing that you will always remember is that you are worthy. You will always be worthy. Don't let anybody tell you that you ain't worthy, because you know you can do anything that you put your mind to. And we can put that on the hierarchy chart.
Where's it go, babe?
Yeah.
Where's it go, babe?
It goes on level. Let me look. So that would be like, that's like,
I don't even have the levels memorized.
Need, and that could also be like self-actualization too, because all right, I know that I'm worthy. I know I can do this. I know that I can achieve anything that I put my mind to. So that's what I need to leave people with.
That's right.
I love y'all. See y'all next episode.
Love you. Bye.